Meet Jane Steele, a vigilante, a killer of bad guys, a writer of dark and twisty things, a tormented hero in her own eyes, and a feminist, who falls in love, makes mistakes, admits to emotions of all propensities, and throws some shade and sass. Reader, this is my kind of heroine. The blurb for Jane Steele markets it as a Gothic retelling of Jane Eyre. For my own reading, I would not call it a retelling so much as it is a new experience with a handful of parallels, which appear mostly in the first third of this book. A groundlessly cruel, snivelly aunt who in Jane Steele is named Patience, whose name by no means reflects her disposition. A boarding school, and upon departing boarding school, seeking employment as a governess. Taking it one step further, Lyndsay Faye adds a whimsical and peculiar quality to the boarding school, and her aunt's estate becomes a charming match of comfort and intrigue. Beyond these staples, Lyndsay Faye grandly expands upon the plot, incorporating some historical elements. I won't tell you how it's incorporated, but we go into great depth about the Anglo-Sikh War in the mid-19th century, where two big players were the British East India Company and the Sikh Empire. On top of that, we also meet a conniving headmaster, several horses, and parents penning erotica. Throughout the book, the reader tries to figure out if there are going to be consequences for Jane as a murderess, and we are also a spectator to her coming-of-age story as we meet her when she is 9, and the majority of the book takes place when she is in her 20s. There is also a new and separate mystery which starts brewing around a third of the way through the book, and this opens the door to many new worlds. At this point, the plot takes a turn and diverges from the original Jane Eyre. However, you still see a common thread as every chapter kicks off with a quote from the original Jane Eyre, and also in Jane Steele's inner monologues, she often reflects about what Jane Eyre would do in a similar situation, and sometimes chastises herself for acting a certain way in comparison. The characterization was out of this world unique. When I was about a quarter of the way through the book, I felt as though I knew Jane personally, or at least had a private view into her diary. But even better, all of the characterization was a prime example of how to show and not tell. Everyone was a misfit in some way, and they were all flawed and very human. Aside from the parallels to Jane Eyre, you can't really tell who is a protagonist and who is an antagonist. I don't even think I thought about those roles throughout the whole book, and that is what made this so magical. Not only was everyone's portrait painted so vividly, but the range of characters as a whole was diverse and varied, hitting all the right notes for diversity in terms of age, race, and sexual preference, something that's not seen in the original Jane Eyre or the books of the other staple female authors of the 19th century. What did draw from the authors is the writing style. Lyndsay Faye captures perfectly the tone of the likes of Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte, and Elizabeth Gaskell, adding levity, sharpness, sass, and sarcasm. You can practically see Jane Steele smirking behind the knife that she's hidden in her skirt as she's saying some of these things. We also see her fall in love, and when she does, the writing is lusty, angsty, heady, and arduous, which is fitting because her love interest is mysterious and multifaceted. Where Jane Eyre says, "Reader, I married him," Jane Steele says, "Reader, I murdered him." This is the epitome of the flavor and the essence of this book. I gave it 5 stars and would recommend anyone to go out and pick up a copy. That is it for this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything else, please leave it down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!